Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Paws Up from designer Rainer Knizia and publisher Pegasus Spiele. In Paws Up, you are trying to take the cutest pictures of adorable animals and post them on your stories. Now there's a up-to-date theme for you. Anyway, let me go to the table, I'll show you how this game plays, and we'll come back here and I'll let you know what I think. Okay, here we see Paws Up set up. The first thing that you would do is just randomly lay out these location cards and then put the location story cards under the corresponding spots. Then you're going to have the animal and paws story cards here. There are picture cards in 3 decks, Deck 1, Deck 2, and Deck 3. Deck 1 is made up of hamsters and a couple of baby animals, and I'll explain that when they come up. Deck 2 is made up of dogs and 1 baby animal, and Deck 3 is made up solely of cats. There are 5 pre-made decks, starter decks in the game that go from A to E, and so each player would just take one of those randomly, and that would be their starting hand of cards. This is played over 13 rounds, and each round is going to have 3 phases: the preparation phase, the swap phase, and the cleanup phase. So we'll just go through those briefly. The preparation phase is where you're going to be laying out a display of cards that players are then going to be bidding on by playing cards from their hand. So in this case, what it's telling you is that to begin with, you're going to be laying out 2 cards from deck 1 and 1 card from deck 2. So let's just do that. This is the preparation phase. So we've got a hamster, another hamster, and a dog. So when you look at these cards, there's a couple of things it's going to show you. First, the number of paws, which are essentially points. And then these are just symbols to kind of tell you what's on the rest of the card, so you don't have to see the full card if they're, splayed in your hand. It's just saying this is in the green outdoor location and this is a hamster. All right? So at this point, everyone would look at their starting deck of cards and they're going to pick one, play it face down in front of them, and then there will simultaneously reveal when everyone has chosen a card. So I'm just going to do this randomly. I'm just going to shuffle these up, and I'm going to put one out there for each player just to kind of show you how this would work. So this is player 1 over here. Player 2 would play that one. Player 3 would play this one. Okay? And then you simultaneously reveal. What you're looking for here is the highest value. All right, I'm going to cut in here briefly to talk about one thing I meant to explain, and that is the baby animals. I said that there are 2 of these in deck 1 and 1 in deck 2. These baby animal cards are going to allow you to take priority over any other card that was played when you're doing the preparation and swap phase. If there are 2 or more of these baby animal cards played, then it's going to go by whoever has the most paws. But these basically will be first to choose unless another one of these have been played. So the highest value is going to pick first. All right, so in this case, we have 2 6 value cards and 1 3 value card. Players 1 and 3 both played 6 valued cards. How do you break that tie? You break that tie by these location cards. And so Player 3 played a card in the kitchen, which is the highest value. These go from left to right as far as tiebreaker goes. So player 3 would have first choice. And player 3 can choose any of these cards and put it into their hand. All right, so let's say that player 3 is going to take this 9-paw dog card. They would put that in their hand, and then they have to take the card that they played and place it into the display. So now player 1 could choose that card that was just played, but instead maybe they're going to go ahead and take this hamster and put the one they played into their hand, and then player 2 here will go ahead and take the hamster that player 3 had played. Okay, so that is the preparation phase, preparation phase and the swap phase. Now you can do a story. You can look in your hand of cards. This is very unlikely on the first turn, but you can look in your deck, or excuse me, your hand of cards, and see if you can complete one of these story cards. And they're very, very simple. This is saying if you have 3 kitchen location cards, you would take this card, which is worth 15 points at the end of the game. This is going to be for the case for all of them where they're going to go into decreasing value. So there are 4 story cards for each of these. The first person that is able to do this is going to get the 15, then 10, 8, and 7. If you're playing in a 5-player game, it's possible that not everyone will get a story card. It's important to note that to claim these story cards, you don't discard those cards from your hand. You simply show them to the other players and then collect the card. You keep them in your hand. Here, this is very similar, except that you have 3 cats that you can show, 3 hamsters, 3 dogs. The paws are equal values. So if you show 3 equal values and you're the first, you would get that 15-point card. Important to note that you can only get 1 of each of these story cards. So no matter how many times you could fulfill them, you're only going to be able to fulfill them once. And so play will continue in this way until you run out of cards in deck A or deck 1, and now this would change, and now you're taking 2 from deck 2 and 1 from 3, and then here you're just laying out 3 cards from this 3rd deck. This is going to continue until 13 rounds, and what everyone's going to do at the end of the game is they're going to count up not only the story cards that they've collected and the points on those, but every card that's in their hand is also going to be counted for its value. So you have to also be considering what cards you're going to be having left in your hand at the end of the 13th round. At the end of the 13th round, after all those points have been calculated, the player with the most points wins. Let's head back up and I'll let you know what I think. All right, so there you have Paws Up, a family weight card game. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is honestly one of the things that I don't particularly like about the game, and that is the theme. You know, look, in a lot of these card games, you know, I would say, especially with this designer, themes can oftentimes be just tangentially related to what you're doing. And in this particular game, I felt like the theme was particularly cloying. It was just a little bit too on the nose and cutesy and like, hey, what's hot in gaming right now? Cozy games, animal-themed games, especially, you know, kind of leading with cats. Cats are very, very popular in board games, while this also has, you know, dogs and hamsters as well. And sure, it's cute, and I understand that it is going for a wide audience, which is smart for a game of this weight. But I don't know, for some reason, this one just felt particularly, as I said, cloying and maybe a little bit cynical. I don't know. Look, I've played a lot of cutesy games, a lot of cozy games, and I haven't really had any issue with it. This one was just maybe a little bit too much. I felt like it was just too forward, and so I didn't really like that. I would have preferred it in almost any other theme, and you could have definitely rethemed it. So getting that out of the way, that was not my favorite element of this game by far. The actual components of the game are fine. It's just made up of cards. The cards are of good quality. Again, I didn't love the art, and so that is something that is a bit of a negative for me. As far as the gameplay goes, it is as you might expect from this designer, a mechanically very sound game. You know, there are some satisfying elements. I do like some of the mechanical elements of, you know, being able to just show the cards out of your hand to claim one of those story cards. You're not necessarily discarding them, because this is one of those games where, since you cannot double up on a particular element, a scoring element, you need to kind of be recycling your hand a bit and kind of shifting and pivoting once you've scored on something, you know, kind of re-aiming your focus onto something else, you know, photo-wise. So a little bit of a thematic thing there where you're kind of having to shift your focus to a different scoring element. And I like the fact that these are essentially racing. You know, you're racing to score these before other players. And so all of that works well. It's a perfectly fine game mechanically. And I do think it's one that could, you know, have a relatively wide appeal because it's not terribly complicated to get into. But the trade-off on that is that I don't feel like there's a huge variation from one game to the next. I feel like the games kind of play out relatively similarly, and so I don't know that this one has the staying power that some other games in this weight class might. Just a little bit too structured, you know, where you're going to always be drawing a particular number of cards out of this deck, then this deck. And sure, the order that they come out is going to be different, and kind of how people are playing are going to change things out slightly. But for the most part, every game's going to kind of follow the same, you know, arc. Those 13 rounds are going to play out relatively similarly, the simultaneous reveal. So all of that to say that the game is one that I feel like is fine. It's actually, you know, it's not a bad game. So it's not something I'm going to be rating super low, but I'm also not going to recommend it. I'm going to be rating Paws Up at a 6. I think the theme doesn't help for me. That's a very personal thing. And the fact that the kind of the structure, the mechanical structure of the game is not going to necessarily be very dynamic, that also brings it down for me when there's a lot of games in this kind of style, in this kind of weight, and I don't know that this one really does enough to stand out from the others to make it one that I would recommend. It's mechanically very sound, and if this theme appeals to you, this might be one that you'd want to check out, but for me, I can't quite recommend it. I'm giving Paws Up a 6. All right, that's going to do it for me. This is Mike DiLisio, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.